Hey man, the hardest part about walking away from a woman who once meant everything to you isn't the silence, it's watching her act like nothing happened. She laughs, she posts, she smiles, she seems lighter, as if losing you was a relief. And for a moment, you start to wonder if all those nights, all those memories, all those sacrifices ever meant anything to her at all. But here's what most men never understand until much later: it hasn't hit her yet. The loss hasn't sunk in. Not because she doesn't care, but because women rarely feel the full weight of losing a good man right away. Her emotions run in cycles. Yours hit instantly. Hers take time. While you're shattered on day one, she's distracted. While you're healing, she's avoiding. But time has a cruel way of reversing those roles. In the beginning, she tells herself she's fine, that leaving you or watching you walk away was necessary. She convinces herself that she's finally free, that she's getting her peace back. That's her defense mechanism. Because facing the truth, that she pushed away the one man who genuinely cared for her, would destroy her emotionally before she's ready to accept it. So instead, she distracts herself. She fills her days with noise, friends, work, parties, new attention, anything to drown out the silence you left behind. But here's the thing about distractions. They're temporary anesthetics. They don't heal the wound, they only delay the pain. And when the noise fades, the silence returns louder than ever. That's when the first cracks begin to show. At first, she'll try to rewrite the story. She'll tell herself you weren't right for her, that you were too serious, too distant, too something. She'll create reasons to justify losing you, because accountability burns too much in the early stages. It's easier to label you as the problem than to admit she gave up something rare. But as weeks pass, her mind begins to betray her. Those same flaws she convinced herself were deal breakers suddenly start looking like the very traits she misses. Your calm becomes strength. Your silence becomes maturity. Your independence becomes power. That's when her narrative starts to crumble, and when it does, the guilt she's been suppressing starts to surface, slowly, quietly, relentlessly. Here's the part that most men don't see, because they've already started moving on by then. Women delay their emotional breakdowns. She won't cry at first because she's still surrounded by validation, but when the attention fades and the texts stop coming, that's when it hits. The stillness of her nights becomes unbearable. The same freedom she once celebrated turns into isolation. She scrolls through old photos, not because she misses the moment, but because she misses the version of herself that existed with you, the woman who felt loved, seen, and secure. That version doesn't exist in her new reality, and that realization comes not with tears, but with quiet panic. That's how regret begins, not with pain, but with emptiness. While you've been healing, she's been hiding. While you've been reflecting, she's been performing. And that's the dangerous difference between men and women in heartbreak. Men confront their pain early. Women postpone it. They stay busy, social and smiling. But no one can outrun emotional truth forever. One day, usually when she least expects it, she'll feel it all at once. Maybe she'll see your name pop up somewhere. Maybe she'll hear a song that takes her back. Or maybe she'll simply wake up one morning and realize that the peace she thought she'd gained by letting you go never arrived. It's a slow burn, a delayed explosion. And when it hits, it doesn't fade quickly. It lingers, because the mind can't unsee what the heart finally understands. You see, a woman doesn't lose you the moment you walk away. She loses you the moment she realizes you're not coming back. That's when the illusion shatters, because for weeks, maybe even months, she'll hold on to a quiet belief that you'll eventually reach out, that you'll forgive, you'll miss her, you'll give her another chance to feel wanted. But when your silence becomes consistent, when your presence disappears from her world completely, that's when it truly hits her. She starts to feel the void, not the loss of attention, but the absence of your energy. The calm, protective, grounded energy that only you had. And once she feels that absence, no one else can fill it, not even the men who try. At first, she'll fight that feeling. She'll try to replace you. New dates, new faces, new conversations. She'll chase validation, not because she wants someone new, but because she's trying to prove to herself that losing you didn't hurt. But each time she looks into someone else's eyes, she'll see the reflection of what she left behind. Every man will remind her of what she lost, because no one carries the same balance of love and strength you did. And the more she tries to replicate the connection, the more disoriented she becomes, because now love feels like noise, not comfort. It feels like effort, not ease. She'll realize what you once gave her can't be found. It had to be earned, and she let it slip through her fingers. The irony is, while she's going through this delayed collapse, you're already entering your renewal. You're rebuilding your focus, rediscovering your purpose, and redirecting your emotions into growth. She's stuck replaying the past, and you're finally embracing the future. That's the balance the universe restores. The one who took peace for granted is now chasing it. The one who was broken by loss has become whole through solitude. And that's when your energy shifts permanently. You no longer think of her with resentment. You think of her with clarity. You no longer need closure from her because you've already found it within yourself. The silence that once hurt now empowers you, because deep down, you know time is on your side. Weeks later, she'll start noticing the small things that remind her of you. The way you used to speak calmly when she overreacted, the way you stayed patient when she pushed you away, the way your presence made her feel safe without needing words. These memories come back not as nostalgia, but as sharp reminders of what she can't find again. She'll try to bury them, but the truth has a way of resurfacing at the worst possible times. Usually when she's alone, usually when she least expects it. And that's the phase where she begins to truly feel the loss. Not in her mind, but in her soul. The kind of ache that logic can't silence and pride can't fix. By the time she realizes what she lost, it's too late. You've changed, you've grown. You no longer need her to validate your worth. You've learned to find strength in stillness, purpose in pain, and peace in solitude. And that version of you, the man who doesn't react, doesn't chase, doesn't explain, is the version she never got to experience. That's what haunts her, because now she knows the best version of you arrived after she left. And no matter how much time passes, that truth will always sting, because she'll never know what it feels like to be loved by the man you became after losing her. That's the real heartbreak, the kind that doesn't fade, only deepens over time. It usually hits her at night, not the kind of night filled with friends, laughter, and music, but the quiet ones, the ones where the world finally goes still. That's when her thoughts start to echo. That's when she scrolls through her phone, thinking about texting you, typing a few words, then deleting them, realizing she doesn't even know what to say anymore. Because what can she say to a man who no longer needs to hear it? That's the part she never prepared for. She thought silence would make you chase her, that distance would make you desperate, but instead, it made you disciplined, and that discipline is what scares her the most. Because a woman can handle anger, tears, even arguments, but indifference, that's something she can't fight. At this stage, she'll start revisiting her own memories, carefully at first, then obsessively. She'll replay your tone, your expressions, the small moments she once overlooked. The way you looked at her when she laughed, the way your energy would shift when you sensed she wasn't all in. And the more she remembers, the heavier it becomes. Because now, those memories no longer comfort her. They expose her. They reveal how deeply she was loved, how patient you were, how blind she was to your effort. That realization doesn't just sting, it haunts her. Because now, she knows she wasn't the one who got away, you were. And once a woman understands that, there's no returning to peace. There's only comparison. This is when she starts to see the man you've become. Maybe she sees a post. Maybe a mutual friend mentions your name. Maybe she catches a glimpse of you somewhere, looking calm, content, unbothered. You're no longer carrying the same energy that once made her feel powerful. You're centered now. You've replaced emotional dependence with purpose, and she can sense that even from a distance. That's the exact moment it finally hits her. She no longer has access to your heart, your attention, your peace. What she once controlled effortlessly has become untouchable, and that power shift shatters her ego. Because for the first time, she realizes she can't get back what she once thought she could always return to. She'll tell herself she doesn't care. She'll try to bury the regret under pride, telling her friends she's moved on, but internally she knows that no matter who she meets, no matter how many conversations she has, no one feels like you did, because she's not chasing love anymore, she's chasing relief. Relief from the ache that comes every time she remembers what she threw away. And the cruel part? That ache doesn't come all at once. It comes in flashes, in mornings when she wakes up realizing she hasn't heard your voice in months, in moments when she looks at her phone hoping your name appears, in the silence between her distractions when she finally has to face herself. That's when the loss becomes unbearable. Meanwhile, you've entered a stage she can't comprehend, emotional neutrality. You're not angry, you're not bitter, you're just done. That's the point where true masculine energy is reborn, not from vengeance, but from acceptance. You've stopped fighting what was never meant to stay. You've learned to let things fall away without resistance, and that peace, that quiet strength, becomes magnetic. The world starts responding differently to you. New opportunities, new people, new energy. Because you've become grounded in self-respect, and she senses that shift. Women always do. They can feel when a man has detached, not just from her, but from all neediness, and that's exactly when she starts to crave what she once dismissed. The irony of it all is that she'll start chasing the very thing she used to run from, your stability. She'll crave the emotional safety she once labeled as boring, because when she's out there dealing with inconsistency and chaos, she'll realize that your calmness wasn't dullness, it was depth. Your silence wasn't avoidance, it was emotional control. Your patience wasn't weakness, it was mastery. And that realization, though late, will awaken a longing she can't fulfill anywhere else. It's not just missing you, it's missing the way you made her feel. The kind of peace that only comes from being with a man who doesn't need to prove his worth, because he already knows it, but by then, something inside you has shifted permanently. You've seen the truth of it all. You understand now that not everyone who says they love you is capable of sustaining it. Some people love the feeling of being loved more than the person themselves, and that's what she did. She loved your attention, your warmth, your validation, but she wasn't ready to match it, and that's okay. You've made peace with that, because now you love differently. You love from fullness, not from need, from self-worth, not from fear. And when you reach that level, the same games that once broke you no longer affect you, they bore you. You've outgrown the emotional chaos she still confuses for passion. Her realization won't come with fireworks, it'll come in silence. The same silence you once sat through in pain. She'll lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of everything she didn't say, everything she didn't appreciate, and that's the exact moment she'll understand what you felt all along. Because losing a good man doesn't happen all at once. It's a slow erosion of comfort, of peace, of meaning. She won't cry because you left. She'll cry because she finally sees what she lost. And the worst part, you won't be there to see it. You won't be there to comfort her, to reassure her, or to forgive her. That's what makes it final, when a woman's realization comes too late for redemption. In her heart, she'll replay the moment she tested you, the time she took you for granted, and the days she thought you'd always be there. Each memory will cut deeper, because now she understands what those moments really meant. You weren't weak for staying, you were strong for trying. You weren't naive for loving, you were brave enough to give your all. And that truth will eat at her, because deep down, she knows she'll never find another man who would have loved her through her storms without trying to control her. That's the kind of love that can't be replaced. It can only be remembered, and memory, when it carries regret, is the heaviest chain of all. But you'll have moved beyond it. Not because you stopped caring, but because you started choosing yourself. You'll look back and realize that losing her wasn't a tragedy. It was the lesson that led you back to your power. She'll always feel a lingering ache when she thinks of you, because she'll know that somewhere out there, you exist, a man who loved her genuinely and left her gracefully, and that knowledge will follow her for years. But you'll carry no bitterness, only wisdom. Because once you learn that not every connection is meant to last, you stop chasing permanence and start embracing peace. And that man is when you finally win, not because she lost you, but because you finally found yourself. As months pass, her memory of you no longer exists as moments, it exists as energy. You've become the benchmark for everything that follows. Every man she meets, no matter how charming or confident, will feel slightly off. Something will always be missing. It's not something she can name. It's a presence, a weight, a calmness that can't be mimicked. It's the way you never begged for love, the way your words held meaning, the way your silence carried truth. And in that realization, she'll feel an ache deeper than heartbreak. It's the recognition that she had something real and didn't know how to hold it. The guilt won't be loud or dramatic, it'll be quiet, haunting, subtle. It'll come when she sees men trying too hard, when she hears someone say, "He was a good guy," and she suddenly remembers you. That's when the guilt transforms into something worse than pain. It becomes awareness. Awareness is a cruel teacher, because once it arrives, it doesn't leave. It forces her to see how impulsive she was, how emotionally blind she became, how ego made her confuse excitement with love. She'll remember the times she ignored your texts just to test your interest, the days she pushed you away hoping you'd fight harder, the moments she said things she didn't mean just to feel powerful. And now, sitting in her own silence, she'll realize those games weren't control. They were self-sabotage. She'll wish she had known then that maturity in love isn't about who wins or loses, it's about who values peace over pride. But by the time she understands that, the bridge between you will be ashes, and you won't even be angry anymore, because you've outgrown the need to be understood by someone who once refused to listen. Meanwhile, your life will have changed in ways she can't imagine. You'll start attracting things that align with your peace, not your pain. Opportunities will appear out of nowhere. People will start noticing your energy, your discipline, your growth. It's not luck, it's detachment. You've freed yourself from the emotional weight that used to hold you back. That stillness, that quiet composure, radiates strength. It tells the world you're not desperate for validation, you're centered in self-worth. And that energy draws everything to you: respect, admiration, and yes, even love. But the kind that's grounded, not chaotic. You'll notice that when you stop chasing what's fleeting, life starts giving you what lasts. You've become unshakable, and that's something she'll feel without you ever saying a word. Her world, though, will start to dim, not because her life falls apart, but because meaning starts to fade. That's the punishment the universe gives to people who take genuine love for granted. It doesn't destroy them, it empties them. She'll laugh, but it won't feel the same. She'll get attention, but it won't satisfy her. She'll meet new men, but every connection will feel shallow. Because now, she's living in comparison, and comparison is poison. She'll compare how others look at her, how others talk to her, how others make her feel. And no matter how hard she tries, your ghost will linger in the background, silently reminding her that she traded something rare for something easy. And once she realizes that, the regret doesn't fade, it festers. Eventually, she'll try to convince herself to reach out. Maybe she'll type a long message, trying to sound casual. "Hey, how have you been?" But she'll stop before sending it, because deep down she knows it won't matter anymore. You're no longer waiting on the other side of the phone. You're no longer hoping for closure. You've moved on from needing an explanation, and that terrifies her, because for the first time she realizes she's not in your story anymore. She's just a chapter, a meaningful one, sure, but not the book. You've continued writing without her. You've evolved into a version of yourself she'll never meet. And that's what breaks her spirit. The realization that while she was busy trying to prove she didn't need you, you actually became the man she always wanted, just too late for her to experience. And it's in that silence, that unbearable stillness between what she had and what she lost, that she'll finally understand what kind of man you truly were. You weren't perfect. You had flaws, mistakes, imperfections, but you were real. You didn't play games. You loved honestly. You didn't manipulate. You gave freely. You didn't demand anything. You just wanted to be understood. And that's what makes the loss so devastating for her. Because real love doesn't come often, and when it does, it rarely comes back twice. She'll realize too late that you weren't trying to control her. You were trying to grow with her. And when she left, she didn't just walk away from you. She walked away from a future built on something genuine. The final stage of her realization won't come with a breakdown. It'll come with acceptance. Quiet, lonely acceptance. She'll wake up one day and realize that you're not coming back. That your silence isn't a strategy, it's peace. That your distance isn't punishment, it's self-respect. And that moment will hit her harder than anything you could have ever said. Because now, she understands that losing a good man isn't just losing love, it's losing stability, direction, grounding. You were the mirror that reflected her best self, and now that mirror is gone. Every time she looks for it in someone else, all she finds is her own reflection, distorted by regret. That's the price of emotional immaturity. It always collects its debt in time. But don't mistake her pain for justice. It's not about revenge, it's about alignment. The universe always brings balance. You learned your lesson through heartbreak. She's learning hers through emptiness. You grew in silence. She'll heal through loneliness. You found meaning in loss. She'll search for meaning through regret. Both of you will move forward, but in different directions. You toward light, she toward understanding. That's how nature works. It balances energy, not emotions. So while you continue to evolve, she'll keep replaying the past until she learns the truth. You already discovered, love isn't about who stays the longest, it's about who grows the most. And in that growth, you've already won. One day, maybe years from now, you'll think of her again, not with pain, not with longing, but with quiet gratitude. Because she taught you what kind of love not to settle for. She showed you how dangerous it is to give your heart to someone who isn't ready to receive it. She was both your storm and your lesson. And now, because of that, your standards have evolved. You no longer chase chemistry. You seek compatibility. You no longer crave validation. You crave peace. And the next time love finds you, it won't be built on insecurity or control. It'll be grounded in respect, maturity, and mutual strength. She'll remain a memory, but you'll remain a man reborn through the fire she unintentionally lit. So if you're still wondering whether it ever hits her, trust me, it does. It always does. It just takes time. The same way heartbreak tore through you slowly, regret will crawl through her life piece by piece. It won't announce itself. It'll whisper through the quiet moments, through the emptiness between smiles, through the memories she can't delete. And you'll be somewhere far beyond it, calmer, stronger, wiser. Because you finally understood the greatest truth of them all. Not every loss is meant to be mourned. Some losses are meant to set you free. She lost you, but you found yourself. And that's a trade you'll never regret. Eventually life will move her forward, but not truly onward. She'll go through the motions, new dates, new smiles, maybe even new relationships, but each one will feel slightly hollow, because deep down, she's not really connecting with these men. She's trying to relive a feeling she can't access anymore. The safety you provided, the patience, the silent understanding, it all becomes the ghost she measures everyone against. And while she may pretend she's happy, you'll notice it in her eyes if you ever cross paths again. That faint flicker of nostalgia, that half-second hesitation when she sees you at peace. She'll smile, but it won't reach her soul, because she knows she's smiling at the man who once saw her fully, and that kind of connection doesn't die. It lingers, quietly reminding her that not every man can love her the same way. She'll go through stages of denial, convincing herself she's better off, that maybe it wasn't love, that maybe you weren't the one, but those are just stories she tells herself to stay functional. Every woman who loses a good man eventually tries to rewrite history. It's how she survives the guilt. She'll minimize your value to justify her choices, but that illusion only lasts until she sees you thriving without her. The moment she realizes you didn't just survive, you ascended, that's when the facade starts to crumble, because she didn't expect you to actually move on. She thought your silence was temporary, your detachment was a test, your distance was pain, but when she sees it's actually peace, she'll understand she never truly had power. She just had your attention. And now that she doesn't, she feels invisible. What's even more haunting is that her punishment doesn't come from your absence. It comes from watching your energy change. You were once emotionally accessible, vulnerable, open. Now, you're reserved, mysterious, calm. You don't react, you don't explain, you don't chase. That calmness unsettles her because it reminds her of what she lost control over. See, women often think control equals connection. When she could provoke you, she felt close to you. When she could hurt you, she felt relevant. But now, she can't touch you emotionally, and that's the moment she truly realizes it's over. Not because you said it, but because she feels it. You've detached so completely that your silence carries more weight than any words ever could. And to her, that silence becomes deafening. She'll try to find fragments of you in other men. The way you used to hold her when she was anxious. The way you listened without judgment. The way your presence made her feel grounded. But each attempt will fail because those qualities aren't learned. They're earned through experience, through pain, through masculine self-awareness. Most men won't have that. They'll offer attention, not presence. They'll offer words, not understanding. And soon she'll realize she didn't just lose a man, She lost a frequency, a level of depth she may never experience again. And that's when her heart starts to ache in silence, because now she's not missing you as a person. She's missing what she felt in your presence, and no matter how many people she surrounds herself with, that emptiness won't fade. At this point, she'll look back at everything she said and did, and it'll start to feel foreign to her. She won't even understand why she acted the way she did, why she pushed you away, why she chose distance over effort, why she tested you instead of trusting you. But that's what emotional immaturity does. It makes people destroy what they aren't ready to receive. She wasn't ready for the kind of love you offered. She wanted excitement, not steadiness. She craved validation, not vulnerability. And by the time she realizes the difference, the man who could have shown her real love has already evolved into someone unreachable. You've become the lesson she wasn't prepared to learn, the one life gives only once and never repeats. For you, the beauty in this entire journey lies in how much you've grown through the loss. You've learned that detachment doesn't mean coldness, it means control. That silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom. That not reacting doesn't make you indifferent, it makes you powerful. The old you would have begged for closure, tried to explain, tried to be understood, but now you understand that understanding isn't owed, it's earned. You've learned how to sit in discomfort, how to rebuild yourself without needing anyone's validation, how to let time do the talking, and that's something most men never reach. You've transformed pain into purpose, and in doing so you've not only won the silent war, you've transcended it. She'll always wonder if you still think of her. It'll cross her mind in quiet moments, whether you've truly forgotten her, whether you ever cared, whether she still lingers somewhere in your thoughts. And the truth is, maybe she does, but not in the way she hopes. You'll think of her not with longing, but with gratitude, not with pain, but with clarity, because her leaving forced you to meet yourself. She unknowingly pushed you into a level of emotional maturity she couldn't handle herself. She became the catalyst for your awakening. And while she'll forever be haunted by what she lost, you'll carry peace, knowing that what you gained was far greater yourself. That's the paradox of detachment. The more you let go, the more you receive. The day she finally admits it to herself will be quiet. There won't be tears or drama, just a deep sigh and a heavy heart. She'll look back and realize that you weren't perfect, but you were real. You didn't play games, you didn't manipulate, you didn't make her chase. You simply cared. And in a world built on short attention spans and surface-level love, that kind of authenticity is irreplaceable. She'll wish she had known then what she knows now, that a calm man is not a weak man, that a patient man is not a boring man, that a man who chooses peace over chaos is not detached, he's evolved. And when that truth finally hits, it won't fade, it'll stay. Because once a woman loses a man who truly loved her, she never fully recovers, she just learns to live with the echo. You'll eventually meet someone new, but you won't approach love the same way. You'll be slower, calmer, more intentional. You'll recognize emotional maturity as beauty, not thrill. You'll value stillness over sparks, peace over patterns, because you've learned that love isn't about fixing or proving, it's about flowing. And the next woman who stands beside you will feel the difference. She'll sense that you're not looking for completion, you're looking for connection. She'll realize that your silence carries stories, your composure carries lessons, and your detachment carries love in its purest form, unattached, unforced, unafraid. You've become the kind of man who doesn't chase validation because you already understand your value, and that's the energy that draws in the kind of woman who never leaves. So when you look back on everything she put you through, remember this: her loss was the doorway to your awakening. You had to be broken to become unbreakable. You had to be ignored to find your voice. You had to be left to realize that you were never meant to be completed. You were meant to be whole. And now that you are, nothing she does or says can ever shake you again. She'll keep replaying your name in her mind, like a song she can't turn off, wondering how something so familiar became so distant. But you'll smile quietly, not out of arrogance, but understanding, because what destroyed you once built you now. And that man is the greatest revenge, turning pain into power, loss into purpose, and silence into strength. Time, they say, heals everything, but that's only half true. Time doesn't heal what you keep remembering, it only teaches you how to live with it, and that's what happens to her. Months, Maybe years later, you'll still cross her mind, not as a person she misses daily, but as the lesson that redefined her understanding of men. You become the quiet reminder that love is not guaranteed, that presence can vanish without noise, and that attention once taken for granted never truly returns. She'll see you move through life with a steady calm while she still overthinks small things, still seeks validation, still tries to fill the void with distractions that never seem to work. You've grown, she's repeated. That's the real difference between those who heal and those who circle their own pain. You stepped out of the loop, she's still spinning inside it. Every now and then, she'll convince herself to reach out. She'll rehearse what she might say. I was thinking about you, or I miss our talks. But she won't send it, because deep down, she knows the version of you that once would have responded doesn't exist anymore. You've evolved too far beyond that emotional dynamic. You're no longer available to be her safety net. You're no longer the man who jumps at breadcrumbs. You're the man who values energy reciprocity. And that's what makes your silence echo louder than her words ever could. She'll feel it as rejection, but it's not, it's alignment. You're simply no longer available for connections that drain you. And that, ironically, makes you 10 times more powerful than the man who once tried to prove his worth through constant giving. She'll watch your transformation from afar. How your energy shifted, how your presence became more magnetic, how your peace became your armor. And it'll confuse her. Because she used to associate love with chaos. She used to believe that arguments, tension, and emotional highs were signs of passion. But now she's witnessing what true power looks like, emotional stillness. It's not that you stopped caring, it's that you outgrew the need to explain yourself to those who couldn't understand you. That composure is what haunts her, because in your calmness, she sees everything she lacks: discipline, patience, balance. You've become the mirror she can't look into for too long because it reflects back everything she refuses to confront within herself. When she meets new men now, she'll subconsciously test them against the standard you set. Not because she wants to, but because her mind is conditioned to remember the emotional stability you brought. She'll find men who text more, compliment more, even chase harder, but none of them will feel right. Their attention will feel performative. Their energy will feel ungrounded. Because once a woman has felt what it's like to be with a man who is calm, silent, and sure of himself, she can't unfeel it. You rewired her nervous system without realizing it. You made her understand what safety and masculine energy feels like, and that's something that can't be replaced by excitement or validation, and so she'll keep searching for it, not realizing that it was never about the man, it was about the presence that man carried. There's a point, months down the line, where she'll start to see you differently, not as the man she left, but as the man she couldn't keep up with. She'll start to realize that your silence wasn't passive, it was powerful, that your distance wasn't indifference, it was detachment, that your lack of reaction wasn't coldness, it was emotional mastery. And in that realization, she'll finally understand what women mean when they say, he's different. You weren't playing games. You were embodying restraint. You weren't seeking revenge. You were preserving your energy. That's the moment she truly grasps that the man she once took for granted was never weak. He was patient. He was disciplined. He was everything she didn't recognize until it was gone. And for you, this becomes the most liberating phase of your life. You stop needing closure from her because you realize closure doesn't come from conversations. It comes from understanding. You've understood that some people don't lose you because they didn't love you. They lose you because they didn't value you when it mattered. You stop replaying the past, stop overanalyzing her choices, and stop trying to decode her emotions. Instead, you redirect that energy inward. You build, you grow, you create. You step into the world with an unshakable calm because you no longer need to be seen. You've learned how to see yourself. And that's when life begins to reward you. New opportunities align. New people appear. Not because you're chasing, but because your energy finally matches peace. There will come a day when she sees you again, maybe by chance, maybe through someone else's story, maybe through a photo online. She'll pause for a moment longer than she wants to admit. The calm confidence in your eyes will strike her, not because you've changed, but because you've become complete. You're not looking for closure, not craving validation, not proving anything. You're just existing, fully grounded in who you are. And that's what makes you truly attractive, your detachment from the need to be understood. She'll feel something twist inside her chest, as she realizes you found what she was always searching for, peace. And she'll finally understand that peace is what she mistook for boredom. That love doesn't have to be chaotic to be real, it just has to be safe. She'll scroll through your pictures, maybe even hover over the message button, but she won't press send. Not because she doesn't want to, but because she knows deep down that the version of her who could have had you doesn't exist anymore. You've evolved past the chapter where her presence mattered. You've become too aligned, too balanced, too purposeful to re-enter cycles that drain your energy. Your silence has now become sacred. It's the language of self-respect. You no longer chase, you attract. You no longer react, you observe. You no longer beg to be seen. You've mastered being invisible when it serves your peace. And she knows this, she feels this. That's why she'll always remember you, not as the man who loved her most, but as the one who loved her right and walked away. The truth is, she'll never completely move on, not because she can't find someone else, but because she'll never find you again. The world is full of men who talk, but few who listen. Full of men who chase, but few who walk with purpose. Full of men who want attention, but few who demand respect through silence. You'll live rent-free in her mind, not as a regret she can fix, but as a standard she can't meet again. You've become the story she tells herself when she wonders what could have been, and though she might pretend otherwise, the ache will stay like a scar from a wound she caused herself. Because some mistakes don't hurt immediately, they haunt over time, and losing you, that was one of them. So let her feel it, let her carry the weight of what she lost. Because you didn't walk away out of pride, you walked away out of principle. You stopped begging for understanding and chose yourself instead. You stopped pouring into someone who only wanted attention, not connection. You stopped chasing peace through chaos and built it from within. And now she's living in the aftermath of her own decisions, realizing too late that men like you don't come twice. You've become the calm after her storm. The silence that speaks louder than her apologies, the peace she'll crave in every man but never find again. That's the poetic justice of detachment. It doesn't destroy her, it just lets her destroy herself through realization. You didn't lose her, man. She lost you. And that's the difference between chasing closure and becoming it.